Hey everyone, this is Leanne from Of Love and Shiplap and the founder of Sublimation graphics and tutorials here on Facebook. If you're joining us on YouTube, please be sure to come join our Facebook group where all of our videos air live before they're added to our YouTube channel unedited. And of course, if you're catching us live on Facebook, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Those links are in the video description depending on where you're watching. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to sublimate a faux leather journal. I purchased these from Single Js Sublimation. The first time I purchased them, I did buy them ready to ship. The second time I opted to do a buy-in. You guys know that I'm not the biggest advocate for buy-ins because if a company has not established a strong reputation, then you could be putting yourself at risk. And sometimes these products take so long to come in that it is past the period in which you could even file a chargeback if you didn't receive it. So I always recommend you proceed cautiously when it comes to purchasing from buy-ins. Luckily, Single Js Sublimation has an outstanding reputation in our community, and they're one of the top blank sellers with the fairest rates for being a small business and free shipping over $99, and they accept Sezzle. So at least at the time of this video, all of that is accurate. So they have some of the best products that I have found that are not just super generic items that you can find everywhere. It's not just a collection of what Best Sub is manufacturing, which is really what we see at some of the really big big sublimation blank suppliers. And while that's totally fine and there is a market for every product, I personally really like to show you guys stuff that is easy to sell and reaches a broad target audience and is relevant in today's customer base. So the faux leather journals are a perfect item that fit that. And one of the reasons why I think these are so great is because journals are a really hot item. If you don't actually like journaling or don't know someone who does, you probably don't know that they are that popular and that people pay some serious money for them. It seems like such a simple thing. It's just a small notebook, but they have a variety of uses, including writing down ideas. If you're a business owner, a writer, if you're just a creative thinker, they are often used as therapy tools, diaries, and honestly, just general life maintenance. The journal industry is a multi-million-dollar industry, which probably seems insane to some of you, but it is so vast, from digital templates to blogs that are just all about how to make your little journal look cute and how to lay it out, to all of the many uses you can use it for. I personally love journals. I use them specifically to keep track of ideas I have for both digital designs that I end up doing, putting on my website, and also for ideas for novels, and allows me to take notes. I like the compact size, and I struggle with stuff that's spiral bound. When I'm trying to write on the other side, it hits my hand too much. So I like things like journals because I don't have to worry about that. It's a much smoother work surface. So if you purchase these notebooks, they come in two pieces. So you have your cover, which is fully sublimatable. And then in the sealed pack is the notebook, which does have a little bookmark. You can see it right there. It has, I think, 100 line pages, and it has this adhesive on either side to stick inside the journal. So I'll be showing you how to assemble all of that after we press our cover. And what's nice about these covers is you can lay them flat and press the whole thing. Now these are faux leather, so they're pretty durable. It's a little hard to screw them up, quite honestly, unless you just don't use enough pressure and end up with weird lines. Some people get concerned about this space right here. I've pressed them both with and without something there, but they do actually provide you with a little piece of cardboard. I just don't have it in my hand, but I will have it. It's over on the table. I'll have it when we show you guys how to do this. I believe I purchased these for about $6. And the going resale rate is going to be $20 to $25 anytime you're doing something like this that is personalized or custom. Now the template I'm going to be using today, I'll show you guys how to put the pictures into it. And this one will be available probably by Sunday. if you are catching this live on Friday night. So it should be available by Sunday. I have a couple of different versions I want to put up so that you guys have lots of options to add in monograms or pictures and really have a nice personalized template that your customers will love. Okay. So this is going to be pretty easy to put together. And like I said, this is a great price point for a product to add and definitely makes a great stocking stuffer. And of course, is a great product to sell all year round. So let's go ahead and we'll kick it over to our laptop so we can set this up in Affinity Designer with the photos for the template so that you guys will know how to do that. And then we'll go ahead and print and press this and assemble it so you guys can see our whole start to finish process. I'm going to switch you guys around now. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my template in Affinity Designer. Now this is of course my preferred design program, but you can honestly use any program you would like. The templates are created with negative space so that you can just drop your photos behind them in however your layers are organized in any program. And this does include programs like Silhouette. You are capable of moving your layers around and this will work for that as well. So we'll start by opening up a new document space by going to File and then New. I don't have any legal size paper. I typically don't buy this size. So I'm just going to select my 11 by 17 tabloid or ledger paper because that's the size that our notebook cover will fit on. So our notebook cover is 8.5 inches by 12 1/4 inch. So we're going to actually set our design when we import it to 1/4 inch over that so that it will make sure we get a nice full bleed and we don't have to worry about any possible white space showing up. So I'm gonna, I hit the place image tool and I'll go ahead and import our graphic. And we'll just click and drag to get it on the canvas. If you just click when you import something, it imports at full size. So try not to do that because it is a pain. We'll go over here and adjust our settings. So 8.5 plus 1/4 inch is 8.75. And then our height is automatically adjusted to the correct dimensions as well. I'm going to rotate this by clicking on that rotate rotate clockwise tool up at the top, just so it's easier for you guys to follow this. Next, we'll go ahead and import our graphics. So we're going to start by clicking the place image tool. And I'm doing this for one of our members. So I'll just go ahead and select some of the pictures that she sent. And what we're going to do is in our layers panel, we want this to be on the bottom of our layers panel or behind. So in your layers panel, when you're looking at it, what's at the top will be on top of your design. What's behind will be behind. Pretty straightforward. So we'll click and drag our picture in the layers panel and we'll pull it down below. So it is a layer below our template. So it looks like I can resize it just a little bit and maybe bring it down. Now this picture was obviously taken with a cell phone. It's very dark, and not only is the lighting dark and therefore the exposure dark, but their skin tones are darker also. So you have to kind of take this into consideration when you're doing projects like this and make some small edits. Anytime you're doing anything that involves people's skin tones, no matter what shade their skin tone is, you always want to make sure that you print it and test press it on some scrap fabric to make sure the coloring is right. With paler skin tones, a common issue is that they might look pink or orange. And with darker skin tones, a common issue with sublimation printing is that they might end up looking so dark that they're difficult to see. So these are things that you need to take into consideration. You can make really minor edits to photos by using the adjustments panel, which is this half moon one. So I'm going to start by clicking on the brightness and contrast, and I'm just going to up the brightness a little bit. Don't want to go too far because it will impact the overall photo. And then I'm also going to adjust the exposure just a fraction. Oop, that was too far. There we go. So 0.591 That was just a little fraction to get it up. And just like that, that looks a lot better. It's a lot brighter and it will print a lot better on our substrate. So we'll hit that place image tool and we'll go ahead and bring in our next photo. And we're going to repeat everything that we just did as necessary. So the first part would be to click and drag it down in our layers panel. Now this photo is extending past the frame, so we want to crop it. So we'll hit our vector crop tool, and when those little lines appear, we will just go ahead and bring this up. The exposure on this particular photo is honestly a lot better. You can still tell it was taken with a cell phone and it was taken in the dark. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit that adjustments and we're just going to tick up that exposure just a little bit so that it will print and not look quite so dark. All right, next image, place image tool. Same deal. We're going to click and drag. We're going to drag it down in our layers panel. Now, if you look, this photo is showing through right here. Obviously, we don't want that in this photo. So what we're going to do is move this photo in our layers panel above the other one. Okay. Now, obviously, this is over here. That's because we need to crop it. But first, we'll rotate this. We'll get this resized down so that it fits inside of our frame much better. Okay. And now we can, again, hit that vector crop tool and just bring in this extra space so that it's not impacting any other pictures in our design. Now, the exposure on this one is actually pretty good. You can tell there's some good lighting or a flash was used, so that is fine. And then we'll just bring in our last one. Once again, same thing. We're going to click and drag it and bring it down in our layers panel. We will place it and resize it a little bit. Let's kind of bring it down so our little girl's head is not overlapped. There we go. The exposure on this one is also not bad, but it could benefit from just a little bit of that tick up so that when it prints, it does not look too dark. So again, I'm just gonna, oop, that was too far. Just a little bit. And again, as I already said, you want to make sure that you do a test print so that you can make sure everything, the colors look good anytime you're doing photos. If you can get professional photos or original photos, that always helps. Even if they're taken with a cell phone, an original photo is better than one that has been uploaded to social media and then screenshot or saved, like all of these have been uploaded to social media and screenshot and saved. So the problem with that is that it degrades the quality of the photo. It decreases the pixelation, the resolution. So you just want to be mindful of that sort of thing. Now you can add text onto any of these Polaroids. You can add a name up here, like you've got some different options. So we're going to add a name right here because this is the idea here is for it to be military themed. And our layer is below. So we actually need to click that and drag it all the way up in our layers panel. And I'm just going to go with a stencil font because that fits with the military look and feel. And we'll just make that centered in there. There we go. Now she requested to have a quote that's meaningful on this front Polaroid. So we'll click on our text tool, we'll click and drag, and we will go ahead and type it out. I'm going to center this text by using the Align Center tool, and I'm just going to go with a standard typewriter font. So we'll go ahead and resize this and kind of rotate it. Click on our cursor icon to move it up, and we're just going to have to make some little adjustments here to center it on there. And then for effect, I'm going to add a little heart. So I'll click on my shape tool and select that heart tool and just make one. And I'll click on it in the layers panel, drag it below the name. And make it red. Maybe not that red, that's a little bright. I'm gonna uncheck my my snapping grid up there. Okay, I think we can actually, maybe we'll choose our blend mode to be multiply. Yeah, that's much better. By choosing multiply, it picks up the background that it's on top of. And that just kind of muted the color down a little bit so it wasn't quite so bold and taking away from the text. And we could actually even maybe give this an 85% opacity. So I'm just going to adjust this just a little bit. There we go. So as you can see, it was pretty quick to put together our template. We want to make sure to click and drag so we have everything, and right click to group it. And then we'll rotate it back that clockwise. If we hit our snapping grid again, we can make sure it's in the center of the page by making sure we get our cross grids. And now we're ready to print. You're going to want to print this mirrored. So file and then print. You'll choose your printer, of course, from your drop-down menu. Now, my settings may be different from yours because you're using a different ink. My settings are based for my ink and paper, so always be mindful of that. Don't specifically copy what we do in the videos. I have my preset settings here, so I'll just go ahead and select my subprint tabloid, which automatically changes my page size to 11 by 17. And the paper setting that I use with Printer Jack ink and paper on my Workforce 7710 is high quality pane paper with high quality turned on. Now, I had someone recently ask about mirroring the image. So if you click on your more options, your mirror image box should be right here checked. That's how you mirror image it before you print. You can save these. So where it says add remove presets, if you select all of your settings and then hit add remove presets, you can choose an icon and name it and then click save. This will of course light up once you enter a name. And then you'll have these presets like I have, which is a lot faster so that you don't have to worry about going and checking all your different settings. You can have your color profiles and anything else that you need selected and ready to go. Now, because I'm doing, because these are going to be pictures, I also am going to switch my color correction. So I'm going to choose Fix Photo, and I'm just going to let it automatically correct. I'll reiterate it one more time. You want to make sure that you test, print, and press on some scrap fabric before your substrate in case you need to make modifications to your adjustments or your color correction settings. Very, very important whenever you're printing photographs with sublimation printing. It's not like printing on a high-end photo printer. You may have to make adjustments because something may come out dark. So we'll just go ahead and hit OK and OK. And when we hit OK again, this will be ready to print. So let's head on over to our HeatPress and I'll go ahead and show you guys how to press your faux leather journal. This is a pretty quick product to put together. So all that we're going to need, of course, is our notebook, which comes with our pages that we'll insert afterwards, and then our cover. And then there's this little piece of cardboard that comes with them as well that you can stick in here if you're worried about not getting an even press. So you kind of just have to like push it in. It's not going to be perfectly level. I'll take a little bit of heat tape there. And stick it on there. Now I've pressed these without the cardboard too, and it works just fine. It'll really just be whether you have enough pressure or not. And if you don't have enough pressure, you will end up where the spine is, it might not press evenly. So we have our transfer, which we just printed with our Workforce 7710 using Printer Jack ink and paper. So we'll go right ahead and just center this on our page. If you remember, we created a nice little margin because I want to make sure that I get nice full coverage. I don't want any little lines potentially on the edge. Okay, so once we get this in place, we will go ahead and apply some heat tape to secure it. Now, with any time I'm doing something that has kind of a lip, I always like to run my fingernail along the edge to kind of give that a better secure hold, so it kind of folds over and attaches it better to the paper. And if you've ever done, anything that has some depth to it like this, and if you don't actually press it down in, you'll notice that it might shift a little bit back and forth or side to side, and that can shift your transfer placement. And we're always going to try and make these as professional as possible, even when you're just working out of your home. Okay. So now we'll go ahead and move on over to our heat press. So the first thing that we want to do is go ahead and, sorry, I'm trying to get you guys straight here. We want to go ahead and put something down on our press. And the reason why we're going to do this is because we created that border and we don't want that extra ink that's around the edge of our product to end up transferring onto our rubber mat and potentially impacting future products. Just going to slide that up in there. Now I could have trimmed this, I just chose not to. But I am going to make sure that everything is completely on my blowout paper. I just use painter's masking paper. You can use butcher paper, packing paper, pretty much anything that is uncoated will work. And then of course we're always going to stick another piece on top just to prevent any ink that might blow out the back of our paper and get on our press so it doesn't transfer onto future substrates. So we're going to be doing this today at 400 degrees for 50 seconds with medium firm pressure. So this should definitely be a little bit more on the firm side. And anytime you're doing something that's this faux leather material, using firmer pressure is always going to be your friend. I'm using my new Endurapress SD20 heat press. I purchased mine from iColor, and you can of course get one if they have some in stock by contacting sales at icolorprint.com. They're also available through Sign Warehouse. Now, I've pretty much always had clamshells, and I do prefer them because I don't like the amount of space that this needs to swing. However, I really wanted to upgrade to a better quality heat press that should give me better results, with white toner and things like that I'm always teaching you guys. What I really like about this is that you can level the bottom platen, which is very handy. And it's honestly really smooth operating. Not bad for under $900. All right, so let's pull off our paper, and then we're just gonna I didn't put heat gloves on, so I'm just gonna throw a heat glove on real quick because this is very hot. All right, let's go ahead and take off all of our tape and pull off our thing that's in the center. Ooh, hot. All right. The ring light's giving us a little bit of a glare. Let me see if I can move and fix that. There you go, a little bit better without that glare from the ring light. So we did get nice full coverage. We've got no white ends. Our graphics look great. They're not too dark. And if you didn't see my tip recently about photo editing, anytime you're printing pictures onto a substrate, you always want to do a test print because you just never know if it's going to print with accuracy, especially if you're not using one of the higher end printers, which has predetermined settings for photographs. So that's kind of, one of the things that you're paying extra for. So you always want to make sure so that nothing comes out too dark. So I did have to do some test prints before today's tutorial. And then like I showed you guys in the last portion of setting this all up, I just made some minor adjustments to the brightness to brighten up our photos. And this is particularly an issue anytime you're using photos that were taken with a cell phone or were downloaded from social media, because social media accounts compress your photos, and this degrades the resolution, which makes them harder to make them larger. And it also impacts the color tones that would have been in the photo originally when it was taken. So anytime you can get original photos or ones that have been taken professionally, you're going to end up faring so much better than, ones that you just took off social media. So I just want to let this cool all the way, and it's completely cool. And let me just give you a nice close up on that spine. You see we got nice full coverage. Honestly, I'm like super thrilled with how this looks. All right, so let's go ahead and take our pages out. Maybe. There we go. So you want to make sure that you've got everything in the right direction. So your bookmark should be down. Make sure we got our front cover there. This fits nicely right in the center here. And then this part peels off right here. And then you've got your sticky part right here. Now, the trick to this all right, we're going to set it in place. Make sure we've got it totally centered. And we want to double check on both sides just to make sure, put it like this, you guys can see. Make sure we are centered with the top, with those little seams, the stitching on it. So I'm going to come down just a little bit. And also make sure we're centered with those. Yeah, those pages in between. Okay. So now we're just gonna hold this here. We're gonna try and be really careful. We're gonna peel off our coating. And then we're just going to straight up, close our notebook, give it a nice good rub. We got our first side ready. And then of course the second side will be much easier. So we'll go ahead and, sorry, I just burned my arm on the heat press. Yep, if I can get it off. There we go. I didn't want to come off. Okay. I like the method of having it standing up because then you're more likely to make sure you get this flat when you push it up. So we'll just peel off that second sheet and rub it in. And there's our finished notebook. You can always give this a little more love there in the back. Got our pages, got our bookmark, and this looks fantastic. Now, because these are journals, they're such a great item that you can personalize, and they also work for a lot of different uses. So, this one can be for writing letters or keeping memories.
Maybe you want to use one for ideas if you're a business owner. Maybe you're just using it for therapy purposes. This is just a great market to tap into because journals are so popular. And if you doubt their popularity, all you have to do is go and check out Walmart. Well, AC Moore isn't in business anymore, but they used to have a great collection of journals. Pretty much all the craft stores have really fun journals. If you're on Etsy, you'll see that there is just endless, endless templates for journals, types of journals you can buy. There's Pinterest boards that are completely filled with journal ideas. It's honestly just such a versatile product to be offering. And when you're personalizing them like this, you can easily charge $20 for these. $20 is more than a fair price for this size, for the faux leather, for the custom printing, especially when you're adding in the photos. You're doing a little bit more work than just printing a generic cover. But even if you're printing, just generic covers, maybe you're selling at craft fairs and things like that, even those, a minimum price should be $15 to $18 if you're in a cheaper market, and you should still be aiming for that 20, maybe even up to $22 if you're in a market that will pay a little bit more for something that even when it's not personalized. So if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And if you are catching this on YouTube, don't forget to come join our Facebook group where you'll find these videos live. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.